Well, hello. I'm Rebecca Ruffindale, editor of Techorati, and I'm today joined by Peter Musaferiadis. We're here today to talk about data, cultural systems, all that good stuff. And so we're finding, I think, a similar era of this convergence. We're seeing the rise of AI as well, and we're seeing lots of people kind of rally around this technology and trying to make sense of it and kind of it's become this kind of ubiquitous tool that we're all using. Do you find that there's often these kind of parallels between people wanting to understand technology and then the cultural history of people like throughout history just trying to make sense of each other?
I often, in some of my talks, I talk about the evolution of humanity and the migration of humanity outside of Africa. And if you know, Earth's population was pretty static from 100,000 BC to 2000 BC. It was basically a million people. And you're going to ask, why did it become static during that period? What happened? Weren't they having babies? Well, we had the Ice Age.
Of
And of course,
course.
the Ice Age was monumentally important in developing human criticality, in the ability to really be able to think deeply about issues. So we had time to reflect during that period. And then all of a sudden, population started to explode from 2000 BC right up until 1804. We went to 1 billion people. 1927, we've become 2 billion people, 1963 billion, 4 billion in 1975, and clearly by 1987, 1989, we were 5 billion people. I'm going to pause in 1989. And why? Because that year, quite a few things happened. I'm just going to tell your audience two things. That year, the Berlin Wall collapsed.
Oh yeah.
Of course, political scientist Fukuyama said, "Oh, it's the end of all wars as we understand it, and we're all going to be holding hands, singing Kumbaya, and it's the end of history." It couldn't have been further from the truth. That same year, something else happened.
Oh,
Tim Berners-Lee gifted us the
oh,
World Wide Web.
of
And
course.
and of course, what did that lead to? That led to what we call this super diverse age, this
Mm,
hyper diverse age where time and space were compressed. So the ability to be able to navigate through differences has
mm,
become more important than ever. And you would think with the World Wide Web, the world would be becoming a better place. Yes, we experience massive economic globalization, but without globalization of values and ethics. And then 2008, 2009 came along. We had the explosion of social media. We saw how that gave rise to the Arab Spring. And of course, if you start to look at global statistics and the work that the Economics Institute for Peace has been doing, and they've developed a global peace index, peace has been steadily in decline since
mm,
2008, 2009, since the rise of social media. And you
mm,
think, well, but hang on, we're supposed to be holding hands and loving each other. But the issue is that we have access to so much information, and that
mm.
information we often see through our own lens. And of course, these algorithms have been
Well,
developed in such a way to polarize us because they generate income out of that. And of course, what that's created is this massive chasm for the
mm,
rise of demagoguery. And demagoguery, in many ways, is a response to the absence of solidarity. And
mm,
I couldn't stress that anymore. So I often say to people, lean in. And for those of you who are engaged in social media, or those of you who are engaged in creating technology and now using AI since November 2022, you better think of those algorithms. Because
mm,
if those algorithms are still being built with the assumption that we're all starting from the same place socially
mm.
and culturally, we are damned, and peace will continue to decline. If technology is not there to serve humanity, then what purpose does it serve?
Thank you so much, Peter. That's been a really enriching conversation.